everyone, it's Jenny here from The Bear and the Fox. I'm back today with another roundup of our favourite books, and because Halloween is coming up, I thought I'd do a Halloween special. Now we have so many Halloween books that I've actually split them up and it's going to be a little mini 3-part series. So today's books are all about pumpkins plus one turnip, but more about that in a moment. Starting with pumpkins, this is our favourite pumpkin book to get us going with the Halloween season. Pick a pumpkin. It's all about going to a pumpkin patch, picking your pumpkin. Here they are at the pumpkin patch, picking their pumpkin, and then they go home. Here's everybody with their carved pumpkins, and then at the very end they go outside. Here they are with their Halloween costumes and their pumpkins, and they're just having a fun time celebrating Happy Halloween, everyone! So I absolutely love the illustrations in this. They're really, really beautiful and stunning, and it's just a great book to get you in the mood. Whether you've been to a pumpkin patch or not, it's a great book to get you into the Halloween mood. Another book about pumpkin picking is Splat the Cat and the Pumpkin Picking Plan. Bit of a tongue twister. So in this one, Splat is annoying his mum a little bit because he keeps getting in her way while she's trying to clean their front yard of all the autumn leaves. So she says, why don't you go to the farmer's pumpkin patch and pick us a really nice pumpkin? And he says, I'm going to pick the most perfect pumpkin ever. So here he is with his little friend Seymour the Mouse at the pumpkin patch. There he is, having delivered the pumpkin to his mum. So it's just great for a little bit of pumpkin picking fun. Next we have Stumpkin, which is one of my personal favourites because it's got gorgeous illustrations, and I have a soft spot for books with gorgeous illustrations. So this is about Stumpkin, who is missing his stump, and he's on the shelf at the local grocery or shop, and all these beautiful perfect pumpkins, one squash, and there's Stumpkin who's just missing a bit. So all the other pumpkins get bought and chosen to be taken home and made into Halloween lanterns and keep appearing in the windows of the houses opposite, and poor Stumpkin is just getting left on the shelf. Even the squash gets picked before Stumpkin does. There he is, there's somebody carrying off the squash, and poor Stumpkin is still on the shelf. But in the end, he doesn't need a home to go to. He realises he's already got a home. He gets to be the Halloween lantern in the shop window. So it does have a happy ending. And when we first got this book, it's really sweet because my youngest, so I think we got this last year, and then when we went to the pumpkin patch, my youngest really wanted to pick a pumpkin without the stem because he was looking for his very own little Stumpkin to rescue, which was kind of very heartwarming. But it's a really beautiful story with gorgeous illustrations, so definitely recommend Stumpkin. And speaking of pumpkins who get left behind, The Last Pumpkin, A Tale of Bravery. So this is the story of Henry the Pumpkin, who's in a field with all his pumpkin friends, and he does almost get picked right at the beginning of the story. So there's a group of children who come, and she's got an idea of what her perfect pumpkin looks like, and she wants to pick a pumpkin, but then there's these crows who keep sabotaging Henry being picked. But in the end, the girl comes back and she defeats the crows, and she gets her Henry, and there they are, reunited, the girl and Henry the pumpkin. So it's very sweet. It's quite a long book. There's, as picture books go, there's quite a bit of text in it, so maybe not one for the very little ones, but so my 6 and 10-year-old both love reading this, and it's a lovely little Halloween pumpkin story about bravery. Next we have Big Pumpkin. This is a fun Halloween version of the folk tale about the giant turnip. In this case it's a giant pumpkin, and it needs more than one person to pull it out. So there's the witch. She's grown this giant pumpkin in her garden, and she just can't pull it out. So she has all these different spooky friends that come along and try and help her. There's a ghost and a vampire and a mummy, and it just keeps building and building. There's a lot of repetition, which children love. Here they are, they've been joined by a bat. Now, my youngest did immediately ask the question, why does the witch not just use magic to get the pumpkin out? And that is a valid question, but it would make the story very, very short. So we'll just go with what we've got here. The witch and her friends trying to pull out this giant pumpkin. And in the end, they are successful. And the pumpkin comes flying out. And she makes pumpkin pie for everyone. So here they all are having their pumpkin pie at the end of the book. It's just very funny and lots of spooky Halloween-y characters. And for something a little bit different, we have the ugly pumpkin. Personally, I think he looks really cute rather than ugly, but he is very different from the other pumpkins. So I am the ugly pumpkin. As you can plainly see, of 100,000 pumpkins, none are quite like me. So they're all nice and round, and he is tall and thin and sunken at the sides. I don't know if you can guess where the story is going, but I'll give you a clue. It's kind of a pumpkin interpretation of the Ugly Duckling story. So, as with some of the previous stories, all the pumpkin friends get picked and poor ugly pumpkin keeps getting left behind until there is the big revelation. Oh my gosh, I am a squash. There he is with lots of other squashes, and he's discovered that he's actually perfect for Thanksgiving. So he wasn't a Halloween pumpkin after all, he was a Thanksgiving squash. So there you go, the ugly pumpkin. Then we have a pumpkin book that isn't actually specifically about Halloween, the Rollaway Pumpkin. It's just a nice pumpkin-y story to read at this time of year. So this is another story that builds up. This time it's not a pumpkin being pulled, it's a pumpkin being chased. So it starts with a little girl who loses her pumpkin, and it starts rolling down the hill, and she chases after it. And as she's chasing after it, lots of other people join her along the way. And then at the end of the story, the pumpkin stops rolling and it ends up in a big cauldron, and they make pumpkin soup for everyone. And they all have a nice feast together. So a nice pumpkin autumny story, which you can read even when Halloween's over, because it's not specifically about Halloween. Speaking of pumpkin soup, here's another book called Pumpkin Soup. It's about three friends, cat, duck and squirrel, and they always make pumpkin soup together, and each of them has their part that they play, and then one day they start fighting because they want to have a go at doing something different, and they fall out, and Duck leaves to do his own thing, and then his friends go after Duck, and at the end they're all friends again. They've all made up, and they cook some more pumpkin soup together. There we go, making a big pumpkin soup mess. So it's a nice story about friendship, about pumpkins, about autumn, about pumpkin soup, all the kind of things that you like at this time of year. And again, it's not specifically about Halloween. We just throw it in our Halloween mix of books because of all the pumpkins that you get around Halloween. But you can read it throughout the rest of autumn too. And last but not least, I promised you a turnip. Why a turnip, I hear you ask? Well, in Scotland, it was traditionally turnips that got carved as lanterns at Halloween, and not pumpkins. So when I was a little girl, went to school here in Edinburgh, I remember carving turnips. And you'll see here my lovely turnip badge, or turnip lantern badge, and I've got matching earrings. I bought these last year on Etsy from a local independent business. This isn't a promotion, I bought these because I love turnip lanterns, and I still carve a turnip lantern every year. So last year someone finally wrote a book, a Halloween book featuring a turnip and not just a pumpkin. It's the kind of book that, you know, you go, oh, I wish I'd written that, because every year I tell people about turnip lanterns. Never crossed my mind to write a book about it. So someone else has, and it's absolutely fabulous. It's called Tumshi, and Tumshi is a Scottish word, another Scottish word for a turnip. The Forgotten Halloween Turnip Lantern. So this book tells you all about Scottish Halloween traditions. So there's a little boy who getting ready for Halloween, and first him and his dad are getting stuff to make a costume, and then they go to the supermarket and he's found the turnips, he's found the pumpkins, sorry, and dad says, oh, let's do a Halloween lantern out of this Tumshi instead. So there they are, the boy's having a really easy time hollowing out his pumpkin. You can see a bit from the dad's face, it gives you a bit of an idea of how hard it is to actually carve out a turnip. So there they've ended up with one of each. And there you go, there's like the Halloween party, and quite a few of them have got the turnip lanterns. I think they're making a comeback. Tumshi is for the win. And the other thing that is very special about Scottish Halloween is that you don't just go up and say trick or treat and you get your sweets handed over. You have to do a turn, as we call it. You have to perform something, so a joke or sing a wee song. Or one year my eldest performed a little magic trick, and I think it's really nice because it means the people whose houses you go to get something out of it as well, even if in some cases they do have to listen to the same joke like a dozen times because all kids have learnt the same joke. But it's just really nice, not just going and demanding sweets from someone, but actually giving a little performance in return. So it's just really nice. I'm really happy that this book exists. Among all the Halloween pumpkin stories, that we've finally got a Scottish Halloween turnip story. So do seek this out if you want to learn a bit more about Scottish Halloween, and if you just want a book that's a little bit different in your Halloween mix. And that's it for today. Those were all our favourite Halloween picture books about pumpkins and one turnip. I hope you enjoyed our recommendations. You can find a list of all the book titles and authors over on my blog. I will pop a link to that in the notes below. And I will also put a link on my blog to the shop where I got this lovely turnip brooch from, if you want to check it out. Like I said, it's not a promotion or anything. I bought these myself and I just really love them. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to tune in next week when I'll be sharing more of our Halloween favourites in our little Halloween book mini-series. So until then, happy reading, and I will see you next time. Bye!